Do you have a hunger for cinematic horror?
Do you enjoy the thrill from seeing boogeymen, beasts, and butchers go about their dark work?
Then all you need to do is speak of the devil, and the devil will come to you.
Speak of the Devil is a podcast for all movies that have anything from demons and poltergeists to serial killers and the supernatural.
I'm Kayla.
And I'm Taylor.
Join us as we embark on a journey through the dark recesses of horror films, from the classics to blockbusters and everything in between.
New episodes come out every Wednesday wherever you listen to podcasts.
We're not scared of anything.
Are you?
Find other great podcasts like this one at podmoth.network.
The following podcast discusses adult situations and gets very sweary. Sensitive ears beware. You're listening to the Fuck My Work Life podcast, where the work stories are real, the laughs are contagious, and all of us can agree that work sucks.
Welcome back, fuckers, to the Fuck My Work Life podcast.
Hey, everybody, I'm Kay.
And I'm Jay.
And we're podcasting again.
And we're podcasting again. And we have one of our most esteemed guests.
A return guest.
Mama D.
Yes. Hi, Mama D.
Hi, guys. Thank you for inviting me back. You know that I was so excited when I got your email because, you know, as we were talking about earlier, I think that we combined because then we would have this like mega podcast that could cover everything. But
Mega cast.
Yeah, we had some good trial names, right?
We did. We had some good ones. Sorry. Goes to show why I shouldn't be like in the shower going, how do you combine these two titles? And then finding yourself utterly hilarious. And I'm laughing alone in the shower going, I'm so funny.
And your kids are like,
what is
wrong?
wrong?
Oh, fuck. She's all right.
She's on a good one.
She's lost it.
At least she's not singing, thank God. You know?
I want to give Mama D a little bit more of an introduction here because, like, you've been a guest on our podcast before.
Yes.
We have been blessed to be on your podcast.
Yes.
And
well, Kay, you've been on twice,
yeah.
and then Jay was on once, but we did a two-part. I don't know if I did a two-parter with you. I think I have.
Yes. With me?
With you, I did too.
I'm pretty sure our podcast was split up into two.
Yeah.
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 Yeah, I think we've we've just kind of gone back and forth.
Yeah.
That's what's nice when you make friends and because I know those first ones, you're always so kind of nervous. I know I was.
Oh, yeah.
But now, you know, we see each other and we're just laughing and it's just, that's what it's supposed to be.
I mean, we've been talking for like a half an hour before we even started recording, just shooting the shit.
Covered it. Let's talk about cats some more. And I'm like, okay.
I don't know if we said yet, but if you guys don't know, Mama D is from Petals of Support podcast. So why don't you tell everybody, if they don't know, a little bit about your podcast?
Well, thank you. It is a bi-weekly podcast where I either have solo episodes, which are pieces of advice, stories in under 20 minutes is kind of my goal. And I cover every topic I can think of. They're usually stories related to things that have happened with my kids or my friends or my family and just kind of how we've worked through it because I'm getting older. Apparently, that's what I've been told. They like hearing my old stories. So I like to hopefully pass that on to people who are listening. Maybe make your life a little bit easier if you don't have to struggle through things like I did or my kids were. And then I also have sleepovers, which is when I have guests. And right now we're just finished doing stories that were kind of goals or dreams that someone has had. So Kay came on and talked about financial goal that she had and she achieved. So we talk about the ups and downs of that journey because it's not always whether you achieve the goal, it's how you got there that matters. And then Jay was on and I don't know. I guess if the goal was to travel was what, I don't know how I fit, or if I just said, you know what, I want Jay on. Because some sleepovers are like that. So if you're looking for kind of not just me talking to someone, the sleepovers are great. But if you're just looking for advice, lot of topics. There's, I think over 175 episodes right now. So it's got to be something.
So many. And you're like, I love your sleepovers, but I also love your solo episodes because you have such good advice that I think anyone can relate to. It's not like, hi, I'm a doctor in psychology and I am just going to talk to you about, it's down to earth and it's relatable and it's really, really good advice. And like you said, you have so many topics. So if you're feeling a certain way one day, you could probably just scroll through your list of episodes and be like, I need this one today, and give it a listen.
I appreciate that because that's what I'm hoping to do, because I've listened to the self-help things and they're great. There's some really great self-help ones out there, but I don't always connect to them because they're kind of just, they don't fit. And I know that some of my topics won't fit with someone because I do talk about my kids and my family. And if I'm talking about a parenting one and you don't have kids, that might not work for you, but you can always tweak it to maybe be about your nieces and nephews or the kids in the neighborhood or kids at your church. So I kind of hope that they're broad topics, and I'm always looking for topics too. So if anyone ever wants to shoot me an email with a question or a topic or their own piece of advice, I would love to share that.
Yes, so send her a message if you don't see the topic that you want some advice on, and I'm sure you would have endless insights into it because you always just seem to be a wealth of knowledge and insights, which I appreciate.
Well. I ramble.
A wealth of experience.
Yes.
Okay, pause. Okay.
I guess on that note, with Jay
now we run.
Cracking open, yes, and now we run.
All right.
I guess with Jay cracking open a drink, we can share what we're drinking, because we drink because we work, or just because it's the holidays, or just because. Well, I guess when this comes out, the holidays will be over, but we're recording this in the middle of the holiday season.
Yes.
So we just drink because we drink.
Yeah.
Are you drinking anything tonight, Mama D?
I'm here. I actually not. I should have been a little bit more on the ball because I drank my last White Claw the other night. And so I'm actually drinking, it's just an orange pop that I was like, it just sounded good. So that is what I'm having. So I'm going to pass the recommendations on to you guys because, I don't have anything cool right now.
I don't have anything cool either. I honestly haven't gone to the grocery store in a while. Like my supplies of everything are down. So all I had in the fridge was some horchata liqueur, which is really good in like coffee, but I was definitely not going to have coffee tonight. So I'm just drinking it straight up.
Well, there you go.
It's good. It's just kind of weird to drink it that way.
Well, I mean, I don't want to spoil the party, but I am drinking watermelon White Claw.
Oh,
because I'm a fancy bitch.
There you go.
And that's what we do.
There you go.
Yeah. And it's not that Jay wouldn't share his White Claw with me. I was just not in the White Claw mood.
I offered her one. I brought the whole 6-pack. I offered her one and she was like, no.
He hoards all the White Claw to himself. No, I just wasn't in the mood. You had some Coors in the fridge too, and it just neither one of those just sounded good to me tonight. I don't know. I think it's because I'm on like 4 hours of sleep. So just
last night was taxing.
Yeah, we were telling Mama D before we started recording. My brother tours with a band, and they played a show in Anaheim last night, and it was on a school night. And we were out till almost 1 a.m., which I'm usually in bed asleep by 7:30, 8 o'clock at night because I start work at 6:30 a.m.
Wow.
So,
their band didn't start until 9:15.
Yeah, they didn't even go on until 9:15.
So an hour after Kay's bedtime.
Yeah. It's always fun to see my brother perform, though, even though the music isn't exactly my cup of tea. The show is always
the music. You didn't tell me. What was the music?
It's
industrial.
It's like industrial kind of gothic.
Yeah.
Okay.
Music.
So like loud, but bass, but also like the synthesizer.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's
So go ahead. Sorry.
And
it's like performance art too. So there's a whole. The show, there's a whole theme, and the singers got costumes, and there's like fake blood splattering and a whole a lot of their topics are on, they can get very like geopolitical. They had a whole tour where the kind of show was on vivisection and animal rights. And like, if anybody knows of popular industrial bands that started in the 80s, they'll probably guess what band this is. Just talking about it because it's very specific.
Yeah.
But yeah, so they like, he doesn't record with them, but when they tour, they like having a live drummer, and that's what my brother does. So it's fun to see him perform. He's an amazing drummer.
He is.
But man, it was a late night. So
yeah,
my brain is not fully functioning tonight.
That'd be fun though. I'm always in awe of people who are creative because I'm not. You know, I wish I could do something musical, but I know I can't, and I do not. You know, well, I try quite loudly, but I know that it's not something that the world would ever really want to hear because I know my kids don't want to hear it. So I'm always in awe of people who can do those kind of things because it's talent. It's such a talent to be able to express yourself that way. So that's very cool.
Yeah, it's really cool. I'm with you. I love to sing, but it is not good. So it's like in the car alone, I'll be belting it out. And then I don't subject anyone else to it unless there's like private room karaoke and I'm very drunk. But that doesn't happen very often.
No, not very often.
Or, you know, back in the day when Rock Band on PlayStation or whatever it was a thing and everyone had that. Oh, I would go to town singing on that to much the dismay of the ears of my friends. But
I like to rewrite the songs.
Oh, okay.
You know, like when you add words.
Yeah.
I think anyone who plays Rock Band, like on whatever, because Rock Band is like, I'm pretty sure it
was for like every system.
Yeah, it's like every game console. I don't know if it was PC, but whatever, doesn't matter. But if you show up with a bunch of friends to play Rock Band, you're not there for the singing. Oh, you're there to laugh at people for fucking up. That's what you're there for.
I was there for the singing.
Oh.
Anyway, yeah, my brother's very talented. I did not get any of that musical talent. I flunked flute in 4th grade. That was when I stopped. That's when I knew I didn't get those genes. But anyway,
you know, if it makes you laugh and if it's fun, that's what I, tell the kids, like, because right now it's Christmas time. So you best believe I'm Mariah carrying.
Oh,
and in my mind, I hit that note. And the kids have learned, they'll just be like, ooh, you did. Because then I won't do it again. Because they used to be like, no, you didn't. I'm like, okay, we'll do it again. And eventually they started getting to the point like, oh, yeah, listen to you. Oh, Mom. And I'm like, exactly.
Nailed it that time, Mom. Do you get the hand going when you hit the note?
Oh, there's got to be a whole routine.
Right.
You've got, there's one, what's the one from Mean Girls? That there's a song in Mean Girls that I have memorized, like the mother and the crowd. There's like a scene where these girls are on stage doing a routine.
It's not Rocking Around the Christmas Tree.
I think it is.
I think it is.
I think it is. I have memorized that section and I will do it. And they've learned to stop and watch me and go, Mom, really good, because then they can leave. If they don't, I'm like, apparently you thought playing Xbox was going to happen. Right. Yeah, because now I'm in front of the Xbox, So, but yeah, they're getting an appreciation for the arts.
Yeah. We were talking about time before we started recording, and isn't it crazy that Mean Girls came out over 20 years ago?
No, don't, no. La la la.
When I heard that, because I think it was this year that it had its anniversary, and I was like, I'm sorry, no, that movie's only like 5 years old. What are you fucking talking about?
It's hard to wrap the brain around those things, isn't it?
Time is so weird. And I think ever since COVID too, time has just hit this like strange warp of just
speed.
It hit warp speed pretty much.
It is. Because I used to base things off things. And then you have this time where, at least in, my world, because of what my husband does for a living, we didn't change things because he still worked, but everybody else had different, other people totally stopped. But I keep thinking, how many years ago did that happen? Or, you always kind of go by Christmases, like, oh, that was 3 Christmases ago. Well, was it 3? Like, when was the last time we got together with those people or whatever? So it's all screwed up, and I don't like it.
And I remember being a kid and like the older people telling you that, and you're just like, no, because I feel like I've been 6 for 17 years. And now it just flies.
Yeah.
Yep.
I try to tell my nephew that he's 16 now, and he just looks at me like I'm crazy. I'm like, yeah, well,
you'll find out. It's hard. This is like the worst. It's the saddest one. I mean, before we start recording, Jay dropped a time thing bomb. And I'm just like, gosh, guys.
Everything up.
Let's bring it back up. Let's bring it back up. What's good in everybody's world today?
Yes.
Well, I woke up today and my back didn't hurt.
Yay.
Oh, it didn't hurt. That's good. Yay.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
I had a smashing headache. But
no, bringing it down again. Again.
Well, I don't know I don't know what to do.
My sciatica's acting up.
I don't know where to go with this. What time is it?
Well, I know what'll bring this back up. Mama D always has great stories. The last time you joined us, you had so many good stories. We split it into 2 episodes, and you have written in a couple amazing stories, some of my favorites from the pod. So I know you're going to bring it again tonight. No pressure.
Bring it, Mama D. Bring it.
Well, the second story, because I had to bring back our favorite client, the one who, wouldn't get off the bus, which was a story I wrote in, who saved my life from the sex worker and all of that running through a mall. So my second story has to do with her. And so I thought, and it's kind of like my last real story of being with her, but I promise it's not sad, but it's just kind of, I thought, well, we'll just bring it all around. But my first story is about when I was trained to do this job. And I thought, everybody goes through training. So I thought I would share part of the training I went through to be for those who don't know, a special treatment. I work for special treatment foster care in a nonprofit organization. And the easiest way, caseworker, social worker, however, that's not what I was, but it just makes it easier to explain that that's kind of the field I was in. So, but the place I worked, do you want me to jump into the story? Is that work? Okay, good. So hopefully this is funny because it's funny to me. Kind of weird, but funny to me. So when I started working there, they had 2 weeks of training, which seems like a lot, but it was this nonprofit organization. It wasn't just special treatment foster care. There were all sorts of things. We had a residential care unit there, guys, girls, all this stuff. They actually had one that was for siblings, so they could kind of live together. So it was like a big campus. Then there was outpatient, which were kids who, obviously still lived with their bio parents, but they needed some sort of mental health that required more than just maybe going somewhere once a week, twice a week, monthly, and they needed much more involved. So there was an outpatient one. And then there was one they called family something. I never really dealt with them. That was kind of maybe a little bit reunification, but working with the community. There was what I did. There were some other ones. So what they decided was that everyone, when they started working there, should kind of have a taste of everything, which made sense because, I'm young. Early 20s. So for all I know, I'm going to be working with these people. Oddly enough, I never did. So I'm not really sure the purpose of it other than maybe people transfer jobs. I don't know. But it was 2 weeks, full days. And this woman, she was the trainer, and she was from Appalachia, somewhere in the mountains, but she had what you would picture. She was just this probably in her 40s or 50s, bigger woman. And she just was every stereotype one could put of a trainer / someone who grew up in as she described it, a cabin shack in the top of a mountain, all of it wrapped into one. She was truly amazing. Like you just learned, I think she's one of those people that you learned without realizing you were learning.
Mhm.
And I loved her. So glad that she trained me, and she somehow wrapped all these organizations together, or all these little sections of the organization together, and it made sense when you were doing it. But she would do these sessions, and so there were 3 of us that just were hired, and I was the only one that was going to be in my department, but there were other people. So, we're all sitting there together. But what I realized is some days other people from other sections would come in. I don't know if they needed retrained. I don't know if they needed recertified. I really don't know. It never happened to me. So maybe they had done something wrong. I have absolutely no clue. But they would come in for a day and then they would leave. So we did everything. I mean, it was binders and all this stuff, going over paperwork. Like I learned the paperwork that other groups would have to use, which, again, first really real job. It was extremely overwhelming when in the end, I seriously only needed to know my paperwork.
Mhm.
But whatever, that's how they did it. So the story is one day was restraint de-escalation day. And she had talked about this day. This was very important. And I think at that moment is when I realized that I was not working somewhere where I was going to have a kid just walk in my office and sit down and be like, this is what's going on with me. Or I was going to take them to fun things because they got straight A's. That's not where I was working if I actually had to be trained how to physically restrain a child.
Yeah.
So, but I got to admit, she kind of talked it up that it was really kind of exciting.
Okay. For cabin lady, it's exciting.
Cabin lady's like, I'm wiping the floor with all of you. So, we're like, woo. But so I go in and there's the 3 of us, the normal ones who are always there. And I want to say, I don't know. I remember there being a lot of people in this room, but truthfully, it had to have been even numbers. I couldn't tell you how many. I know some were from the residential unit. And then there was a scattering, but then there were also some foster parents, and they would have to come because if you think about it, these kids could be runners. You don't want somebody getting really mad at your house and damaging things. You might have to restrain them.
Yeah.
So the first half of the day was how to de-escalate using basically just your words. Wonderful. Like whether, you're dealing with kids who have big emotions and big anger, whether you're dealing with coworkers, whatever it is, it's good to be able to know how your tone and how to say things.
Mhm.
So I learned a lot in that I've since used, in my life. Not always. I got big emotions and big anger myself. So it doesn't always come out. But, it was one of those things that for half this day, it was really good stuff. And we would like role play and everything. And I learned a lot. So then we go to lunch and we come back and she's like super excited because now we are going to
now we're going to do
WWE.
jujitsu.
Yeah, we're beating on each other. I'm going to describe it. I know it's video and everything, but I want to first say that this was, 20 some years ago. I would love to believe that things have changed. I do not think this is what they teach people now. I could be wrong. I have not, this is what they taught us and taught it so well. So the idea, so she has, a standard, we have to find a partner. So I get this partner and didn't matter guy or girl, but it was this woman who was about my height and everything. And this is back before Mama D had kids, before Mama D had a 40-year-old metabolism. Mama D had, I was athletic, believe it or not. So I'm with this girl and we're, standing there. And so the phrase in theory was used very, very often while I work, because in theory means, on paper.
Mm-hmm.
In theory doesn't necessarily, go into the situation.
Right.
But so she kept saying, in theory. So she says how, this kid, big angry, maybe going to run, maybe going to hit something physical. So you distract them while your partner, now key thing, your partner, never in the time I worked there did I have backup. It was always
Right.
me. So I don't know what in theory, like I had no partner.
Your partner was your hands.
Yeah.
Like, look over here, and then throat punch them.
I'm like, I don't understand. So now the residential people are like, yeah. And I'm, well, yeah, because they worked in groups. There was at least 2 of them at all times. And then somebody, there was other people that like the outpatient. Yeah, there were groups. I'm like, it's just me, which I didn't realize till later. But at the time I'm thinking, oh, I'm going to have like a sidekick. Like, we've got like police. This is awesome. So you're telling, distracting this kid, and your partner in complete ninja comes up behind, and you have to picture a 10-year-old or a younger kid, and you wrap your arms around them. And if you can, you lock. So they're crisscross applesauce with their arms. And so now they can't move their arms. You want to keep your head back because, you have like basically just like grabbed a honey badger. They are pissed off. They weren't pissed before. Most of them are not big on touching. So now you're touching them and you're restraining them. So now they're scared, but they're like, Tasmanian devil pissed off at this point. So you got to keep your head back. And you also got to hope that they don't like, break your chest, and you don't want your hands in their mouth because they're going to bite you. Yeah. So you're holding them, and then you start slowly going backwards. Now, again, they're littler. So you back yourself against a wall, still holding them. You used one of your knees to kind of knock them off balance. So they're almost either off the ground with their feet, or they're off balance enough that you can slowly, with your back, slide down the wall. Then you're both sitting on the floor. They're obviously in front of you. Again, head. Don't don't get knocked in the teeth. And then you use your legs to crisscross applesauce to pin them down.
Right.
And this supposedly, in theory, is supposed to calm them down. I'm thinking, not.
Yeah.
But,
these are probably kids who have been abused.
Yeah, that too.
And
We'll have like
more than anger is fear.
Yeah. Oh, they're scared to death, Yeah. Now, I mean, the idea, of course, was that you're to talk to them first. Like, this is one of those last ditch effort things. Like, they are going to physically hurt themselves, physically hurt someone else, maybe escape. This is not like the go-to. Like, I would not be like, oh, they're arguing over crayons, your ass is going down.
Yeah.
Like it wouldn't, it's not,
Here, I want to talk to you for a second.
I come jumping out of nowhere.
Wall down.
Sideswipe their legs.
Crisscross applesauce.
So, again, in theory. And so, we get done with this like description and we start to practice. Well, you've got like these people who mostly 20s, 30s, and you got some of these foster parents, and we're doing it. Well, of course, when somebody is getting ready to restrain you, you're not going to fight. Like, you're just you're going with it. Nobody wants to get hurt. Everybody's just we're laughing. Like the girl and I don't remember it, laughing. It's supposed to be, well, it's not supposed to be fun, but it was in that situation fun. So we get done with that. And what I remember was this gentleman who was, this is important, tall, had to have been over 6 foot, but thin and older, who yells bullshit. Well, the trainer, now turns and, all of her anger, she's focusing on him because in theory, this is going to work because she's the trainer and she knows. Mm-hmm. And he explains how he is a foster parent and how he works with teenagers, mostly boys. And there is no way in hell he is going to be able to do this. He tried it. Like, this was not his first training. And it did not work. These kids, he's going to hurt himself. They're going to get hurt. This is bullshit. This is stupid. Oh, no. She was not going to take that because in theory, he must not have been doing it correctly, because if you did it correctly, you're on the ground and all of a sudden you're singing Kumbaya. Everybody's calm and quiet.
You
we're
want me
lighting
to
candles.
crisscross applesauce you?
Exactly. Name of the episode right there. Crisscross applesauce.
Crisscross applesauce. In theory.
In theory.
In theory.
In theory. Well, yeah, and you did it wrong. And I just remember this argument going back. And so he's like, it's not going to work. So he turns and points at me and says she couldn't restrain me. And I'm like, you take a step back. I'm thinking, my brain's like, hell no, I can, this man's agitated and everything. And the trainer, yes, she could. Going on and on. She could restrain him. She could restrain you. She could restrain any guy in this room. I have trained her. You all can do it. You have to believe in yourself, blah, blah, blah. And I don't know if it was like a 23-year-old brain or if it was the fact that someone was telling me I couldn't do something. But because that's like my motivator. I know that shouldn't always be someone's motivator. But if you tell me I can't do something, I will do it solely because it's not that I did it. I don't care. But I want to be able to tell you that you're wrong. I like that. That's what's right.
Because Mama D's so sweet, but at heart, she's a rebel. You don't tell her she can't do something.
It would, if anyone could figure out my family, it's really good reverse psychology to do Mama D. Be like, well, you can't do that. Oh, you want to watch me. So I'm listening and I don't know. It's like something, it clicked. And the brain said, you can do this. Well, the body's like, still going, no, you can't. Like, you literally can't. But he's arguing and he turned his back to me. That was his mistake. And he's moving his arms, which was his second mistake. So ninja, I jump in because trainer has him distracted. That's my partner. I wrap my arms around him, crisscross applesauce. Well, the benefit for me was he's 6 foot. I'm 5'6". He can't hit me with his head, which he was trying to do. He's flailing because I don't think he either expected it or he was going to prove his point.
Right.
The problem was the training was out of the head. Like I'm holding on. And if you wrap somebody and do this wrap hold, you really can hold them. Even no matter how strong, and again, he was tall and he was thin. Maybe if he had big muscles, I don't know. I like to believe I could have done it anyway, but he wasn't getting his arms loose. But I forgot the back up to the wall part. All I remember was kick his knees.
Oh, no.
So I lift up, kick his knees. Both of us go off balance. I think my guardian angel was like, oh, hell no, because I'm going back. We somehow twist. So but he, crisscross applesauce, neither one of us have our hands to brace ourselves.
Oh, no.
So we hit carpet. But he and I start rolling. She starts screaming, you've got him. You've got him. No one's saying let him go. It's you've got him. So damn it, I had him. So somehow we flip around. I try to crisscross applesauce. This is where the height didn't help me. His legs are like long. He's like Gumby, legs long. So I crisscross applesauce around his waist. So now I am on him like a backpack. And he could not.
Like a spider monkey.
I was spider monkey on his back. So we in this position, while he could not get himself up, he's trying, but he's on his face and then he's up and around. I'm holding on and we roll around this floor. What seemed like to me, 4 hours, we're looking at probably about 5 minutes before he gave up. I won. We stood up and she said, in theory, it worked, and dismissed us all. That was my training. And that was like one of the last days. But what makes it like even better is that, somebody's talking about this because it was hilarious. And, I took this guy down, didn't really, because I didn't do any of the right stuff, but he did give in. I don't think I necessarily de-escalated shit. I mean, it was not good. But the funniest part was, fast forward like 2 years, I get this kid who needed a foster home. And the county said, hey, we know this one family. Will you put him there? And I said, sure, I don't know them, but yeah, I'll take him there. So I pick him up and he's this larger teenage boy. He's mad. He sat in the back of my car because he didn't want to sit with me. I got called quite a few beautiful names. He was obviously mad. We had taken him from The other foster home, I don't know why. I don't remember details. Just he didn't want to go. I don't think the foster parents wanted him to go, but the county wanted him. Maybe we were cheaper. I couldn't even tell you why we moved him, but I'm driving him and he is pissed. I'm not scared, but like you feel, these are those times when I felt
anxious.
horrible. Well, I felt horrible. I felt so bad for him, but yeah, I'm anxious because I'm like, why are you sitting behind me? Like, this is not I'm not chauffeuring your butt, but I needed to get him into my car because I was afraid he was going to run. And, we're not crisscross applesauce to anybody. Like, I was like, we'll never do that again. So if he's running, I'd be like, yeah, I lost him. That's just how it goes. But so I pull up to this house and, he's now very quiet. Walk to the front door opens. 6-foot tall foster dad that I took down. And we both stare at each other and he's like, I know you restrained me. And I'm like, I know you, in theory, I won. And he went on to tell this kid how, now his version of the story was very over the top because it kind of scared the kid into thinking, we both, not just me, but him also, we weren't going to take any crap from anybody. Even, if you hear the real story, it was a hot mess. But from that point on, he and I were I used to put kids in his home all the time. He was a wonderful foster parent. Totally right. In theory, anything will work. If you spell it all out, it's that you can't predict what people are going to do. I couldn't predict that he, was going to go down. He couldn't predict that I was going to jump out of nowhere like a freaking ninja. Crisscross applesauce his ass. There was no, and I'm sure the trainer couldn't have predicted I was going to do that. But I guess in theory, I was trained how to de-escalate and restrain people. So.
De-escalate.
Yeah.
I was trained how to fuck people up.
It was, I never had to do it. I'll say that. I
was just
never
gonna ask.
did it. No,
you never had to.
I never did it. I did a lot of course, the talking. It was very big on don't argue. Because you're going to win. You're the adult. You're going to win. There is no need to be right. You're going to win. I didn't really like that because these kids had so much taken from them. I wanted them to have a voice, but I also wanted them to understand why I was saying what I was saying. Because a lot of my coworkers and how we were kind of taught was it wasn't a discussion. And I didn't want it to be that way. And that's the same with like my kids now. In the end, we're going to do what I want because I'm the adult and that is what it is. But I also want you to have a voice and maybe you'll change my mind or maybe we can come to a different compromise because I'm not seeing it from your side. Now I can tell you, 100% of the time, those kids in the foster care group, we didn't change minds because it was like, no, we can't steal that. Or no, that's not your car. It was not. But with my kids, that's stuff that I've taken away. Where I always say, that job made me who I am. Those are things I took away that I'm like, sometimes my kids are right. I hate, it's hard to admit that when they're, as young as they are and I'm as old as I am, but it's the truth. But in the end, I'm in charge. Yeah. And that's how we so I learned, crisscross applesauce.
I wish more crisscross applesauce. I wish more people in like positions of authority were taught that de-escalation thing. So many people just immediately get on the defensive and make situations worse.
Yeah, that's one of the main things, like with the police brutality. Yeah. One of the main things is like they're not taught de-escalation. They're taught you approach these people and you crisscross applesauce those motherfuckers if you need to.
Yeah. Sometimes if you don't
and
need to.
there is no like the restraint is, it's good to know, but the de-escalation can solve a lot of problems before it becomes a restraint situation.
Right. Well, and the sad thing is this was in theory, I could really, I could really hurt someone. I worked with teenagers. But I did have on occasion little ones just for some, small time frame because I just didn't, it's not that I didn't like them or didn't do well with them. I just did better with the older ones. So I did have little ones. I could, in theory, while doing something, break an arm.
Yeah.
I could hurt them. And I do not think that being trained in, that was only half of a day.
Right.
I don't know what, with the police or with, in a mental health facility, their mental health facility or anything, how much training they get. I just know that it was honestly half a day. And the de-escalation was half a day. We're looking back at 23, 24, you're not thinking of it that way. You think, here's this binder. We have to go through all of these protocols. I'm learning paperwork for departments that I was never going to do paperwork for. And if I switch to that department for some reason, they're going to teach it to me when I show up. Why was I being taught all of this stuff where this was something that should have been a couple days? Now, I'll tell you, I do remember the next day being bruised and sore. So I don't know if I could have handled like 3 or 4 days of that.
Yeah.
And I don't know if, tall foster man would have ever come back, because I was on him. But I mean, I just think that that's the one thing with training is that I think on occasion is probably the way it's always been done. This trainer, Appalachian lady, I think she had written the binder. This was how you did it. And sometimes I think that's a problem too with training and with higher ups and everything is just this is how we do it.
Yeah.
And, me, they wouldn't have listened to me if I was like, this is it. I mean, obviously she got really pissed at foster dad for being like, it's not going to work. And he was 100% right.
Yeah. And I mean, like you said, you had just learned it that day.
Right.
And in the moment, everything you learned left your brain.
Yeah.
So I mean, I was a trainer at my job for years. And I know that repetition is what makes things stick. So like, we're doing this training for half a day. You're going to practice it a couple times with your partner. And then you don't have to actually use it again for months. You're not going to remember. You're going to be like crisscross applesauce. Wait, what do I do? And it's, you're not going to get it. It's not going to stick in your brain. So it's crazy. Like you're dealing with children.
Right.
And only a half a day was spent on this.
Well, and the funny is I do still remember it. If I could bring my oldest in here, he would think it was hilarious and take his butt down. I probably could. But would I be doing it correctly? No. Because what I remember is these basic steps. How do you get their arms crossed so you can, grab them? I don't remember. And I bet there were steps involved. How do you back them up against, to a wall? I mean, that seems so, it makes sense, but when someone's flailing, it doesn't. You're not going to drag them. And the pop-up thing, I just remember something with the back of their knees with my knee. It worked. Yeah. But something tells me that if I was out right now and tried to take somebody down, I'd probably do it wrong. But still, something's, things stuck. Of course, it could also have been because I backpacked that man. I mean, I was like, I was head down, I was on,
Yeah, my trainer brain's going wild now because like you need to have a few weeks on this topic here because all of the different scenarios, right? What if you aren't inside? What if you're in an open space and there's no wall to back against? What if there's a huge size difference like you discovered with tall guy,
Right.
You got to
what if he wasn't distracted
What if he wasn't distracted?
Your partner
cabin lady
and you didn't make that move? Like, there's
and that's why I hope it has changed. Me again, this was 20 some years ago. I would like to believe that someone along the line has been like, this is not good. And I'm sure that has happened.
Yeah.
But this is how I was taught. And I just have to laugh because, again, I never went out with a partner. If it was a partner, it was, the county worker and we were at court or something. We weren't, you didn't have like in a residential situation. And there was a lot of times where I had kids threaten to run and it was not me taking their butts down in the grass that kept them there.
Right.
It was talking to them
and
figuring out what could we do different? How can we compromise, translation? How could I get you in my car where I can lock my doors? And then, you're going to be pissed, but I'm going to take you somewhere where we can talk about it. I'll buy you a shake. Just,
Yeah.
get in the car. Don't run, because I'm not going to chase you, was always
Yeah.
kind of my thing, was I'm not going to chase you.
Yeah.
You think, it's not going to happen. And
I
that
mean,
seemed to work better.
Yeah.
There's absolutely been some sort of change, because
Oh, I would hope. Yeah.
think about it. Like, if you were a parent, of this child, and you crisscross applesauce their ass,
Mm-hmm.
you'd probably go to jail.
And that's where I just don't. Life has changed. It really
Yeah.
has. But I just wonder, if you were to go to a, some sort of, juvenile detention center, what are the rules? I don't know.
Yeah.
What can they do? And I'm not saying illegally, because we know, I mean, as scary as it is, things happen.
Yeah.
And I will not deny that sometimes those kids made me mad. I mean, kids have a way of figuring out what is going to hurt you and saying it. And these are kids who probably had those things said to them their whole life.
Yeah.
They knew it hurt. And so they just twisted it around on you, who's, again, you're trying to help. They don't care. They're mad. They're mad because they're not where they want to be. You're stopping them from doing what they want to do. They don't need you. And teenagers, you hear people say, there's like tweets, crap my teenager said to me. And they can be really, really mean. Add that to a kid who's not your own, who's got some anger issues, who might be hearing voices, who is just not good.
Mm-hmm.
You'd get mad, So I always thought, in a detention center situation, that must be, I could never handle. That would be horrible.
Yeah.
You have to keep your own emotions down. But how do you restrain? I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't want to know.
Yeah.
I think that's kind of scary, though. I think it's scary that, like, if you did it to your own child, you could get in serious trouble. But the people who take your child from you, is there no recourse if they do the same thing? Is there no, how do you know? How do you know?
Well, I mean, in these kids' cases, I mean, as I told you guys last time I was on, there were no bio parents. Bio parents were, pieces of crap. They created these kids in a lot of cases, and getting the kids away from them was the best. I cannot imagine. I mean, I saw some bad stuff, and it was the parents, one, both, whole families. It was, whatever, excuse me, whatever it was. So who we answered to was the county, who would have approved all of this.
Yeah.
So, I don't know what would have happened. What would have happened if I would have it would have been accidentally, don't get me wrong. But if I were to wrap myself around a 16-year-old kid, didn't have anything to back up to, so we went face down, me on his back, you got a broken nose.
Right.
Because he can't stop himself. I can't stop him because I'm holding on, because if I let go, he's punching me.
Right.
So, it's all that, basically, you're in that, fight, flight, response thing, but you can't fly because you are currently attached to a person where you want to just let go and run, but you can't. And again, I'll just, stress, it was not something that you were encouraged to do because somebody, wasn't listening, go clean up your room. You're not like, clean up your room this way. You didn't, it's not, it was not the go-to.
You want the crisscross applesauce? You do the dishes.
It was not the go-to. But, if you have a kid who's, squaring up with your foster husband or another kid, or has a weapon and is going at your spouse or another child, this is what you were supposed to do.
Yeah.
And in those circumstances, you could, in that fight, break somebody's arm. I don't know what it would be. And I don't think at that point, I mean, all you're caring about is protecting those around you and protecting the kid who could be threatening to hurt themselves.
Yeah.
Handful of pills. You don't know what you're dealing with. So it was never a go-to. It was always the de-escalation. That's why I will say I never had to do it, but I don't think I would have. I would have just
Bye.
bye,
Run, go,
we'll
run.
find you,
Yeah.
At that point, it's like run away. If you're ready to hurt someone
Yeah.
because you can't get away, then get away.
Yeah.
Like,
You've got my business card. I'll pick you up wherever.
Yeah.
And I did pick up kids who,
Calm down. Yeah.
who ran away from the foster home, and the foster parents would call and be like, so-and-so busted out a window, and into the night they ran. And it was a matter of time because they're still kids.
Yeah.
And they're so mad and they're so upset in that moment. But they didn't have this like support system of friends because they're moved so many times.
Yeah.
They didn't have family because the county was usually pretty darn good at moving you. You did not have a foster home in the county where your families were. So, I mean, you were a distance away. So it's not like you could run away and go to grandma's house. You could not get somewhere. You didn't have money. God love them. They didn't have money.
Yeah.
So I knew it was a matter of time before I got a phone call, and then I would go
before
and
they
pick them up.
needed help.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then we moved into a different foster home. That was always, whether it was good or bad, it was my consequence.
Yeah.
Was that, because for the foster family, you've done this, and, unless it's a darn good reason why you ran, I was moving you. And that was just kind of how it was, because you couldn't be where you were.
That's a lot.
Yeah.
That's a lot to deal with.
Yeah.
Especially as like a early 20, like I didn't know what the hell was going on in my early 20s. The fact that you were dealing with all of this is pretty amazing.
I mean, it sounds so creepy when you say I enjoyed it, but I did. I enjoyed it. I was weird. I enjoyed it. It was, but I think being that age gave me the ability, and that's probably why I was good with the teenagers. I got it. I couldn't get it to their level. No. But I also got some of the feelings that they were having, and we could talk. And that's what I was able to do with them.
Yeah.
So they were good kids. They just did not have the chance that they deserved. And they did not have usually up until a certain point, they were not loved. They were not taken care of. They were not kids.
Yeah.
So then you give them to our organization, and you've given us, little people who stunted growth and they're just so emotion. It was that all those teenage emotion just off the chart.
Yeah.
And we were just lucky to have usually very good foster families that were like, okay, he busted out a window. He ran to the night. I need you to find him. And I'm putting up, we're taping up the window. I'm like, all right,
installing the
bill us.
bars. Yeah.
Yay. Hello, this is Mama D, and I'm the host of Petals of Support. Petals of Support is a podcast that offers advice from a mom to anyone that needs a little extra love and support. This is not advice for moms, but advice from a mom. I've covered such topics as forgiveness, how to forgive, when to forgive, and when it's okay to not forgive, letting go, how to make good decisions, and how to handle stressful situations. I'm not a licensed anything. I'm just a mom that wants to provide to you the same advice that I give my kids, my friends, and my family. You can find me on any podcast platform. You can also find me at Twitter at Petals of Support. Please go listen, find the episodes that apply to you, and maybe the ones that don't. You can file that information away for later. If you like what you hear, please subscribe. Thank you. But the funny thing is when I say crisscross applesauce, don't tell me you don't know exactly what I'm talking about.
Oh, I know exactly what you're talking about.
So, that's the only way I could describe it. But, I'm sure there's probably a technical name for
a body triangle.
I'm sure there's...
That's what it is.
Really?
Oh,
yeah.
Oh, okay.
See, I'm sure there's technical names.
Like you grab them around their shoulder, neck area, and then wrap your legs around their waist.
Okay.
And lock your foot behind your knee.
Mm-hmm.
That's a body triangle.
Okay.
That's the crisscross applesauce you're talking about.
Okay.
I like crisscross applesauce better.
Yeah,
way-
I do
it
too.
makes more sense.
Crisscross applesauce sounds much better.
Like, and you can envision it, right?
But-
like
Yeah,
I can
yeah.
picture it perfectly.
Technically, it's called a body triangle.
In theory,
In
though.
theory, it's the body triangle.
How many times in my job I heard that? They're like, in theory, if you do it this way, I'm like, that means bullshit. That's exactly what in
Yeah.
theory
Yeah.
means, you know?
It means maybe.
Yeah.
It means,
That's
yeah,
what it means.
Yeah.
It
it
means
means in the book.
maybe this is going to work.
Oh,
Maybe
Yeah.
you're going to die.
That's what we call the happy path in my job. The happy path. Nothing goes wrong. Everything
Yeah.
goes exactly how it's supposed to, which
That's
it
right.
never does.
Oh, no. Well, that gave you a good place for a commercial break, too.
Yeah. Let's listen to a fellow independent podcaster, everybody.
That's right.
Traffic at the 10 and 2s or whatever. It's nuts to butts on the 5, everybody, if you're headed
Nuts to
south.
Got someone doing crisscross applesauce and somebody else. And, avoid that area.
We had somebody on our freeway today. I was working from home today and Jay didn't go in. And luckily, because somebody on the way we would have to go to work got on the freeway going the wrong way and shut the
Oh.
freeway down for hours.
Yeah.
So
It's too bad that I emailed in and was like, man, I don't feel well. I'm not coming in.
So you were going to bring us full circle on our favorite
Favorite
And now we
client.
run.
Yeah.
And now we run. Yes. Oh, I love her. Yes. So this would be one of my last really big experiences with her. So I just thought that I would share it to sum up. And it also kind of goes with the in theory kind of stuff that what the higher ups or what you're told that does not exactly work the correct way. So where we left off was that we were able to continue having her in our program until we got another year, because she was at this point over 18 and we should have released her because she was an adult, but because of her functioning level, she was never going to graduate from high school. So, we had gone into court with this, hey, can we keep her in our program until she graduates from high school, knowing that would basically, she would still be in there now. It's like it was not,
Yeah.
try as she might, she was never going to achieve what she needed to do. And that's just what it was. But we did not want her on the streets, of course. We really did not want her going back to her bio mom because we knew exactly what was going to happen. She was money.
Yeah.
It's just what she
would be
was. And
pimped. Yeah.
oh, yes. And because of her IQ level and her overwhelming need to make others happy, she would have done anything she was asked to do.
Yeah.
That's what it would have been.
Mhm.
So getting a year was wonderful. So, fast forward a little bit of time, I'm in my office and I had gotten a call from the county, maybe it was from her county worker, but it could have been that person's manager above her, supervisor, saying that because she was not ready to be released into the wild, what was I doing to get her ready? What was our, organization doing? Well, we weren't doing anything. That was the truth of it. She was back in school, but she was never going to read above a certain level.
Yeah.
That's what it was.
Mm-hmm.
Math was nothing. Basic. We're very basic. This, obviously, the bus situation, big fail on that one. She'd still be riding a bus to this day. So we weren't really doing anything because there wasn't really anything you could do.
Yeah.
If I wanted to get her in a residential program, which is where she should have gone, she couldn't pay for that. The county wasn't going to pay for that.
Yeah.
The county had to refer her to the next levels and I don't even know what those would have been, to take care of that. Nobody was doing anything, but our hands were really tied because of what we were allowed to do. So I said nothing. And they said, well, if you don't start doing something, we're just going to release her. And I'm like, shit, I mean,
Yeah.
she's in this foster home with this wonderful foster parent. She's safe. She's fed. She's dressed. She's going to school. If we take that away from her, I don't even know. I don't know because I know the county at that point would have just been like, we're stopping the payment tomorrow. The end. That's what it is. I like to believe the foster mom would have kept her for a little bit, but you can't ask somebody.
Yeah.
Because a lot of these people, this was their income.
Yeah.
And that sounds horrible, but you're asking somebody to really kind of dedicate their lives to this. And in a 2-parent household, things can go a little bit better. But this was an older woman. I mean, again, just absolutely wonderful. She had, I think, maybe 4 or 5 only girls, because the way the house was set up, and a lot of these kids had to be in the same, boys together, girls together. Just that's what it was for so many reasons.
Yeah.
We can be, think about it, we can guess. Some of them, you couldn't even like leave them alone to go in the kitchen and cook because you don't know, they're quick.
Yeah.
So you can't ask this woman to give up a bed because I could put another child in there. This was her income and she was amazing. But with everything she did for these kids, you had to give her that understanding that it's not necessarily about the money, but they need the money because she couldn't work and take these kids to all their appointments they needed to be at, do everything she needed to do, go to the school. Everything she did, that was her life.
Yeah.
So I'm like, well, we have to do something. Like I have to do something. So she comes to me and we told her she needed to understand where we were. Was there anything she could be a part of this? This is your future. What do you, she goes, Mama D, of course it wasn't, it was Miss, but we'll go with Miss Mama D. Miss Mama D, I want a job. And I'm like, oh,
okay, honey.
Okay. And she went on to say that the other girls in the home, which I think at that point one was mine, definitely. I don't know the other one who the others belonged to, but we all worked together. So if I went to visit my 2, I'm visiting all of them, and I knew they all had jobs. They all could ride the bus and they would go to their job because while this woman was getting money, it wasn't a lot.
Yeah.
And we made sure that the kids had clothes, the kids had food, we had that. But you do not get, there's no extra. There is no, if your friends are wearing these clothes, there is no money.
You also
for
get
them.
those clothes.
Yeah, it's not going to happen.
Yeah.
You're not going to the movies. You're not going to have money to eat. You're not getting, nowadays a cell phone. It's not happening. So these kids were some of the best employees you could have because they knew that if they screwed up, I mean, they might have been, doing God only knows what other places and not doing well in school, but they knew this was money for them and it was their money. And we were very, we had set up bank accounts. Like we did everything we could do. But, they got a little bit of the allowance. We were trying to help them save. This is all stuff that we were working with them on. But they got a little money. They got to go to the mall. They got to, go to the movies. They got to do things. And my client wanted to do that too. And I'm like, So I'm starting to think we're limited here because first of all, I'm not putting you on a bus. So you're not, because a great one in my area, and I'm sure probably everywhere, is Goodwill. And they don't get paid a lot. But it is a good work experience. They're, monitored, at least the ones around here. I know very good things about them. I don't know everywhere. They're all, different. But the one that was closest was too far away. And we could not ask this foster mom to drive her there and pick her up because she had these other responsibilities too. So that one was kind of off the list. And, a lot of my coworkers are like, why don't you try the bus again? I'm like, because I can't run anymore. Like, I just can't, like this is where we are, the bus is just not going to happen with her. She cannot get that she has to get off. We can write it down. She's not going to get it.
Yeah.
So I'm looking around and where the foster mom lived, there was reasonable amount of things around. Stores weren't going to work.
Yeah.
So I thought, okay, I have some really great relationships with some fast food places. They knew when I brought a kid there, they knew a background. They were never given any details. Now, I know these kids. They were in there spilling all the tea and just, sharing it all. So,
Yeah.
I could walk in and be like, oh, yeah, he'll be a great worker. And he's in there telling you this story about when he did this and this. And they're like, oh, awesome, But they were good workers. So they knew
Yeah.
I was bringing them kids who wanted to work. They were going to be there on time. Couldn't promise what was going to happen afterwards. Couldn't always promise that they were, not on something because I was doing my best, but they wanted to be there. We were getting there. They were understanding the importance. So I called one and I explained very basic because, again, we're not allowed. And I wouldn't have done it anyway because she did not need that label coming with her of this. These are all 15 of her medications and diagnoses. And this is her family history. That's no one's damn business but hers. So they said they'd give her a chance. I'm like, awesome. So this was a place. These all were where if the foster mom walked to the end of her driveway, she could see her walk and go somewhere. Might be pretty far down, but she could see her. Now, once she turned, she kept going because she forgot where she was going. Not much we could do at that point, but we could get her, in the parking lot. So I take her, and oddly, one of her foster sisters had a uniform from there. So she said, you can wear it. And so this was a big deal to the client, she, oh my gosh, did her hair. She is wearing this outfit. She works there. Like she's the CEO. This is the end of the, she's done it, and I'm trying to explain as I think we walked there, however we got there, this was a test. Like they're figuring out what you can do. Mm-hmm. So you got to be, this is, we practice how to talk to people, how not to talk to people, how if someone looks at you, that does not mean you have to talk to them. Like you got to leave people alone sometimes. You just do your job, which was all great stuff for her to learn. I got it, Miss Mama D. I got this. So take her in. And I planned, it was going to be a very short shift. I planned on being there because I'm like, I don't know. Oh no. And I think she made some comment like, you don't see anybody else's caseworker sitting here. And I'm like, I don't think there's a caseworker in here. I don't know what's wrong. What do you want from me? But no. And so the manager, who again, I'd had a nice relationship with, it's all about networking and building these bridges with people. And she, no, we got this. She's going to be okay. I'm like, well, here's my cell phone, or pager or whatever I would have had at the time because we had both. And I said, I'm going to go to some other homes, knowing really I'm going to go sit in a parking lot somewhere because I honestly gave this 45 minutes and they're calling me, like this is, but I leave and time goes on and we're getting to the point where I'm going to go pick her up. And I'm like, holy hell, like maybe I was wrong. It's not the first time. Maybe she really needed just a job. I walk in and I spot her. She's at a table and she's chowing down on like all these burgers. Cause remember the girl loves to eat. So she's eating, she's happy as hell. And the manager says, can I talk to you? And I'm like, So I'm like, okay, and she's smiling me up and she's like, it's just not going to work.
Aww.
And I said, well, can you give me feedback? Because I'm going to have to explain to her. I said, well, did you tell her? No. I'm like, I don't blame you because she would have thrown something. Like, I know she's sweet as hell, but she's got a trigger.
Yeah.
And she really wanted this. So give me feedback. So first, they told her they thought she could clean stuff.
Mm-hmm.
She was very meticulous, organized, oddly enough, because you saw her room and it's like, but she had these certain personality quirks, I guess. And if you gave her the job, because I had told her this was important, best foot forward, she was going to clean. So in an hour, she cleaned a table. It was the most glorious table. It was if you ever went to a fast, you will never see a table as glorious and clean as this table, but you can't take an hour
to
clean a table. And she could not be, taken away from that task. She
Yeah.
was going to do that task. And they were, I give them credit, wonderful people, smart enough to realize we got to let her just finish. So she cleaned a table for an hour. So then they thought, wisely, let's put her behind a register because that makes sense,
Oh,
because
no.
there's pictures. The thing is that she then had conversations with everybody. It was like, I guess, downtime, quieter. They're talking about life. I'm sure it was her talking about her life and asking them, do you like dogs? And, just making it. But in that time, and people were very nice to her, but she could not use the register.
Yeah.
She can't read very well. And there were pictures they showed me. And that wasn't the problem. The problem is after it's rung up, this is back 20 some years ago, you have to read. She couldn't do that.
Yeah.
Then it might tell you the change.
Yeah.
But it's going to tell you this person needs $2.30 back. She didn't know how to do $2.30.
Yeah.
So that didn't work. So then, third, let's put her in the back and let's show her how to make a burger. Now, one would have put two and two together that you've got somebody who likes to eat, but also likes to do everything perfect because Miss Mama D said, put your best foot forward. So they showed her how to make a burger, and she proceeded to make a burger perfectly, as in the pattern of the ketchup, where the pickles went, perfectly, as she's eating things with her other hand.
Oh, that was not good.
Just gonna eat the pickles as I do this, So they said that, she did a good job, but you can't take that long to do. It's fast food.
Right.
Yeah.
Fast food for a reason. So we leave. And I had a conversation with her, and I tried to explain. She didn't get it. Devastated. We get back to her home, and I explain to she goes in. She's this, 18-year-old tall, woman, honestly, who was asking for baby dolls for her Christmas presents because, this is where we are.
Yeah.
So she's stomping in there and that door slammed, and, and scream crying. So the foster mom's like, so well. I'm like, it did. It was awesome. So let me tell you about tomorrow. So, we go over it. We talk to the foster sisters who got it. So nobody was going to, I hoped, and I never heard somebody did make fun of her, do anything. But I'm like, I don't know where to go next. We talked about, I'm like, we need to brainstorm. So we talked about the library. She can't read. And quiet was not her thing. Like, we didn't have that volume. We like to talk. And, someone's at the library, they don't necessarily want to hear, you talking to them. And you can't stack books. You can't do these things, So library's out. I had called places, went through the school, but her limiting ability was not riding the bus, and I could not take her. None of the foster sisters had a license because that wasn't going to happen. That's something that state's not paying for. Foster parents aren't paying for. Who's putting them on their insurance? It's not happening.
Yeah.
So, that would have been a whole nother, could you imagine me teaching her how to drive, Woo. So, we're still trying to think. So one day, and I'm really worried about the county. They didn't give me a limit, but again, it was like you knew what they wanted was to remove her. They wanted, and I don't think it was her caseworker. It wasn't. It was that she was caught. She was money that they could get more for somebody else. They could bring another win in. They could do all of this stuff that she, in their minds, wasn't needed, and she wasn't going to get better.
Yeah.
We're throwing money in a hole. As horrible as that sounds, that's how they made me feel that they felt about her. So I'm stressed. We have to find something. So one day I'm at work and I get a call from her, and she says, Mama Dia, I found a job. And I'm like, oh God, like on her own, she found a job. I'm like, what did you do? this could not be, my mom hired me. I'd be like, ah.
Yeah.
You know? She's like, will you come? Well, I'll show you. So I'm like, yeah, okay. So they get through the next day. And side story, she was allowed to go for walks around this neighborhood with the foster mom's 13, 14-year-old daughter. And I had been really worried about this, but apparently they were power walking. So the foster mom, this was a while before, had said, no, you come over. And she's like, girl, show Miss Mama D how you power walk. We're talking full on, arms pumping, legs. They looked nuts. And she's like, who's going to approach them? Like, this is the safest thing ever. And I'm like, you're right. Like, and they're fast, So I'm like, okay. So they had been on a power walk and they passed a business with a help wanted sign. And I'm thinking, what was the business? I don't know. Like, all good things to know. Like, before you apply, you should know what you're applying for. So I say, show me. So we get in the car and we drive, and it was a nursery, meaning like plants. Mm-hmm. It wasn't big, but greenhouses, it, from the outside looked like it was a family owned something. So I'm like, but you have to have, again, she's limited. You have to have certain skills. And I don't know. I mean, is this a cashier? We've already proven that's not our skill. It's not in our roundhouse of things we can do. But she's out of the car. And she had, by the way, gotten dressed. She put on the uniform from the fast food place. Because that was her work clothes. And despite me explaining that wasn't work clothes,
right.
She was wearing them. And you get to the point where you're like, I don't care. Get in the damn car.
Yeah,
Like,
it's work clothes now.
But wear what you want to wear. At least you're wearing something, So we get inside and she walks up. And again, she had remembered best foot forward, put her arm out to this older woman, 40s, 50s, and introduced herself and said, I work here now. And I'm like, you have to work on that. Like, that's not how we introduce ourselves. Yeah. But the woman's like confused. So I started explaining. And I said, I don't know what you're hiring for. I don't know what she can do. But could we talk? Like, I need to say, I don't think it even with the county had anything to do with money. It was a job. It was doing something, a skill, So I'm not asking you to pay her. You have to pay her minimum wage. She's over 18. But I'm not even asking you to give her a lot of hours. Like 1 hour a week is a job. I mean, call me crazy. It's a job. So we turn around and she's gone. I'm like, shit, best foot forward. So we hear some talking. Apparently, to prove herself, as one should, she proceeded to wander off and pick up one of those long, rod things, hoses, and drowned like 15 plants in the greenhouse.
Oh, no.
But this man, the husband, found her. She explains she works here now. I'm sure he's like, cool. And so he was showing her how to water the plants correctly. They hired her.
Oh.
And she worked there. See, and I could cry. She worked there a couple hours. They were awesome. But the best part so she had a job and they worked out something with one of the foster sisters or someone always walked her there, power walk. They probably saw her coming. They're like, what the hell? The arms are going.
In her fast food uniform.
Yes,
turn the water hose down so she doesn't drown anything. Like, put it on the minimum.
And she gets, but she did it. And so they started teaching her other things. They taught her how to like replant things. But God love her because, when you're replanting, sometimes some things fall out, you get whatever you get in there. So she started bringing me and all of my coworkers these hideous looking pots because they were broken. They were the pots they were going to throw away with these random pieces of plants stuck in them. Because if you stick the plant in the dirt, it's going to grow. So my desk over time had like these lines of dead, she'd always come in, she'd be like, you're not watering enough. I'm like, it has no roots. Like, seriously, it's a leaf in dirt, girl. I'm like,
seriously, it's a maple leaf.
I love her so
on
much.
top of dirt.
I'm like, what are they teaching you there, But and then she'd bring him Christmas was like some random hanging basket that nothing went together. It's like, oh, shade, no shade, bright sun, all in one pot. Like, where's this going? But she worked there. And so when I left, that is where she was still working. And I like to believe she's still working there now.
Yeah.
But yeah, so
that's awesome.
She got a job.
And maybe that was just the thing that eventually clicked with her, and she's an amazing plant lady now.
I hope so. But I hope that she has and continues to have a wonderful life, because if anyone has a heart, it was that girl. Yeah. She just was wonderful. So, but yeah.
It's so sad to think that there's somebody with such limited abilities.
But such motivation.
Well, such motivation, but that if she didn't have you, would probably end up homeless. You know what I mean? Because the state's just like,
or worse.
Or worse. It was, that foster mom. And it was the foster sisters who, they had their own collection of just, there were a lot of hot messes going on now. Like, I could never have lived there. They would have, been crisscross applesauce in every person. Like, it would have just been sun up to sundown, But they all banded together, and she wanted a job. And that was, I guess the story just would be that I'm so mad. That was the stuff that you deal with. Like, people don't always understand when you move them, it's not my choice.
Right.
Or when you take them out of a home, we don't have a choice as the level I was at. There are people way above. They made those choices. The court made those choices. We are simply the poor person that is trying to follow through and do it in a way that makes these kids feel safe and feel some sort of love. So when, you have a county that, with this huge victory, she gets at least another year in safety. And then you're going to call me and be like, well, what's she working? Did you look at her file? Like, I mean, to me, if she started, reading a different level book, that was a success.
Yeah.
But you want her to be freaking working.
Yeah. No, she should be making money.
Yeah.
Right.
Like, if she's not making money, then what are we doing?
Matter. Right.
It's disgusting.
Yeah, it's sad.
And we put everything. She had a savings account, and the foster mom, it was under our organization, but we always made sure if we trusted the foster parent that they had some access to, because they would help. And she had a checkbook, because this was back in checkbook days. Mm-hmm. And she, did all of that. I think it was a saying, but she had everything, and she could not do that math. She could not write. She couldn't do it. So the foster mom helped her, and she would work towards, it was Barbie dolls. It was, things. And she would be so excited when her doll got a new dress, that she'd come in with that doll, in the air, and she'd go around to every one of my coworkers and all like, you're just so proud of her. And it gave her that, if nothing else, maybe I'll give the county that. Their forcing our hand did give her a sense of, being an adult. Mm-hmm. She felt some pride, and that's wonderful. But the idea that they could have just called me and been like, Friday's her day. Yeah. Pack up her trash bag. I couldn't have done it, but what could I can't, my hands are tied.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I guess sometimes when you get mad at people who do those kind of jobs, or just remember sometimes, and if you could say, well, you don't do it. If I don't, someone's going to do it. Like, it's not like I could be like, no,
right.
Keep paying the bill. They're not going to pay the bill.
Yeah.
The foster mom's not going to get paid. What are we going to do here? So,
yeah. And it's usually the people that are making those decisions who aren't the ones with, boots on the grounds that have to see the emotions and deal with it. They're like, no.
Read her file. What the hell do you think I'm going to put her at?
Right.
Yeah. Well, so the whole time you were telling this story, all I was thinking was, man, I've seen some restaurants that could use a girl like her after hours to go clean.
Yeah.
Pay this girl 8 hours to go in there and just clean
8 tables. That's all you would have
8
tables.
Small restaurant. Small
Well,
restaurant.
maybe you put her in a section and you brought her a table and
Yeah.
she cleaned that table, and when it was clean, you pull it out and you put another
Give her another one. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, she was.
like,
I'm just picturing with a toothbrush, just being like, you know.
oh yeah,
Because she got it done, but shout out to that fast food restaurant, that manager who, you know, is standing there or like leaning on a desk going like, what the hell do we do, you know?
Yeah.
Don't call Miss Mama D because she'll be mad. She won't keep bringing kids here, you know, except
yeah.
I always said, I mean, I've told you before, I put them in these places because I'd show up and be like, so how they doing? Yeah, I'll take a burger to go for free.
Yeah.
You know, and
Yeah.
they'd all feed me. And I'm like sitting there, I'm like, and today for lunch, you know?
Today
Who's
for lunch,
working
you
where?
get to sit at the cleanest table
Yeah.
in the place, but you don't get no food.
Look at it glow. There's a burger that's going to be ready in about 45 minutes,
Yeah.
but it's perfect.
It's gonna be
Might have
beautiful.
pickles.
It's gonna be the most beautiful burger you've
Might
ever
not
seen.
have pickles.
We don't know.
There will most likely be artistry to the mustard and ketchup.
Yep. Oh, she had to make it perfect. God, love her. So yeah, so there is full circle with her.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Oh, I'm with you. I'm gonna imagine she's still at that nursery, just
like to
chugging
think so.
away.
I like to think so. And creating some of the most interesting pots known to man. I mean,
Yeah.
it was hilarious. But I guess it goes to show the lack of, she didn't want to waste anything.
Yeah.
And she just could not. I'm sure she got that they had to grow somehow, but she'd come in and be like little pine things. And I'm like, what?
No, she got it. You put
You
it
just
in dirt.
soil. Yeah.
Yeah.
You put it in
earth and
dirt
grow.
and it grows.
Maybe she's
Why
some
don't you
like
water this?
plant artist now.
I know.
Yeah.
People want
What if
her
she's like a
weird.
total arborist now? Like that's what I'm seeing. Like she's
a
an
master gardener
arborist
Yeah.
with like
She made some crazy hybrids of plants that are
Yeah.
just
I'd be so proud. Oh my gosh. Wouldn't that just be the best ending to the world? I'd be
Right.
like, things are perfect now. So
let's just imagine that's what happened.
yeah.
Thank you for bringing us around on her whole story.
yes.
At least the part of it that you were involved in. I just love her so much.
Oh, she is. I mean, I shouldn't say I was because I'm, just wonderful. Just
Yeah.
one of those, she was upset and I mean, just take a 6-year-old temper tantrum in an 18-year-old woman. And
Yeah.
you're like, but it was so rare because she just really had the best, soul. She really, despite all of it,
Mhm.
I couldn't have been that way. I mean, even if that stuff happened to me now, I would be the most jaded,
Yeah.
untrusting, hateful person.
Yeah.
And she just wasn't. So, yeah. I like to think that's how she still is.
Yeah.
So I told you there's only 2 stories, but it was also me talking. So they will go forever with a lot of
No,
descriptions.
these were the best.
Yeah.
These were the best.
Yeah. You're
Okay.
such a good storyteller.
Oh.
I'm just sitting here just listening, just totally
Yeah.
enthralled.
I just think of Mama D. We run.
Yeah.
Ooh, is that a bougainvillea?
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Serpentine, up the thing. I'm like, what are we doing? But that was her,
Yeah.
So, I'm glad you guys enjoyed them because I was like, yeah, a little different, but
And if anybody's like tuning in for the first time for this episode, go back and listen to the other Mama D episodes so you can get this girl's whole,
Yes.
all of the story.
The full story.
yeah, because I guess I didn't go through the whole background because I just because you need to go listen because we had so much fun because it was the one story I wrote in that you read.
Yeah.
And then when you had me on then I shared a lot more detail. Believe it or not, I rambled even more and shared her whole history and all of that stuff. But
Yeah. Well, thank
But
you
this is
so much for joining us again.
oh, thank you guys for inviting me.
Always so much fun talking to you. Do you have anything else to add?
Let everyone know where they can find your podcast
Yes.
and
Okay, I'd love to. I'm available on everything. It's Petals of Support. Again, it's bi-weekly. If it is a sleepover, which we're not doing those right now, but there's some in the back vault. But those are Tuesdays and Thursdays. And then, of course, the solos are Tuesdays and Thursdays. Those are the shorter ones. You can email me at petals.s@aol.com. I'm on X and Threads, Instagram, and TikTok at Petals of Support. And I love hearing from people. If you have any questions, or if you have any advice, or if you have a topic you want me to ramble about, I welcome everything, because I get writer's block or talking block or whatever it is. And those are some of the most unique episodes. And I'm like, I don't even know if there's advice or not. But thank you guys.
No, thank you so much for joining us. Everyone, go listen to Mama D and Petals of Support. You will not regret it. And I think that's it for us today. What?
I think that's it.
Yeah. All right, everybody. Thank you for listening. We love you fuckers. Bye.
Yeah.
We're very out of practice.
Crisscross applesauce, those
Crisscross
motherfuckers.
applesauce.
In theory.
In theory.
Bye,
fuckers.
Bye.
Thanks for listening to the Fuck My Work Life podcast. If you're enjoying the show, please consider rating us on your favorite podcast platform. We'd love to hear your workplace stories, so send them our way to fmwlpod@gmail.com or leave us a message at 310-818-3273. For more fun content, follow us on TikTok, Threads, and Instagram at fmwlpod. You can also chat with us and your fellow fuckers on our Discord channel. You can find all our links in the show notes. Until next time, bye fuckers.
I went downstairs to use the restroom, and he thought I was going down there to pull all of the chicken that I cooked out and just feed it to him.
Oh.
And I didn't do that. So now he's like, you son of a bitch, I'm going to crisscross applesauce your ass.
If I could, I would crisscross applesauce you. He looks so mad right now.
Oh, he's so mad. Monkey.